some people have commented that you had one of the most difficult jobs fighting a war for 19 countries and have many different interests and intentions. What was it like, and is it possible to successfully fight a war by committee, and how was it dealing with the French?
Well, it's an interesting question. A lot of people have been talking to me about running for office. And as I've been thinking about what it must be like to run a campaign, it was a lot like trying to run this war. The title was Supreme Allied Commander Europe. People said, boy, that's a great title. I always said, you know, if they give you that title, it must be because you need it. That is to say, you aren't supreme. That's why they're giving you that big moniker. And so what I realized in this was that nobody was seated in my place. There was nobody I could look up to who would see the same picture. And there was nobody below me that would see the same picture. It really all focused in one chair. And that's why they called it Supreme Allied Commander. And that's why Eisenhower put that title on the position. Because if you went back to your nominal superiors, let's say the Secretary of Defense or Hugh Shelton, my friend back in Washington, they're great people, they're tremendous patriots, but they were looking at it through an American lens. And if you went to the NATO Military Committee, the guys like General Klaus Naumann, a tremendous friend of mine, and a great general, he was looking at it from the military committee lens. And if you went to Javier Solana, who was my European boss there as a NATO Secretary General, he was looking at it as a Spanish, well, he was a socialist, a Spanish socialist. In 1982, he's the guy who, at the last moment, begged the Spanish government not to join NATO. And now, here he was 17 years later, the NATO Secretary General leading NATO in its only war. How ironic. But there was nobody but me who could look across and see, okay, here's the American position, here's the American political position, here's the American military position, here's the British position, here's the British military position, here's the realities of what's happening on the ground, here's what the U.S. Air Force wants to do, here's what the Allied Air Forces want to do, here's the problem with the Russians. It all came together at one spot. So what it was like was, it wasn't war by committee. It was war by trying to establish a vision and lead people to see it. The vision was a very simple vision. Against a guy like Milosevic, it's not like dealing with Al-Qaeda. This is Milosevic. He's the leader of a government. He's a rational, calculating lawyer. He's got big, soft, puffy hands because his mommy never let him play sports because she said he might get hurt. And you know what your adversary is like. And so you say to yourself, look, we're going to turn up this pressure. We don't have to have a knockout blow. There's no way he could possibly beat NATO. And as long as we don't let him get any reinforcements, no support from Russia, no support from the Soviet Union, we got him cold. And so we turned up the heat. We just cranked up the pressure. We said, you know, we're going to attack, we're going to degrade, we're going to delay, we're going to disrupt, we're going to eventually destroy the assets you value most. And we're going to keep the pressure on. Every day it's going to get tougher and tougher. And of course, I knew Milosevic was watching me whenever I brief on CNN because that's what Milosevic does. And so he would look at me and he would think about what I was saying. And we just kept turning the screws on Milosevic. And that was the vision. And then you had to persuade the other countries that this was a vision that would win. And that was the art of leadership.